Oh my. Let's talk about that. I'd heard inklings. I didn't pay attention. I didn't buy White Dwarf, so this will be new news to me, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, that's what we'll talk about and find out how we do feel about it.
Initial reaction is I hate it, but
You don't even know what's in it.
That's why I said it's an initial reaction.
Like you said, we have to have a hot take. Like that's how this works, right?
Welcome to Preferred Enemies, the Warhammer 40k podcast that once again seeks balance in all things. I'm your host, Rob.
Kevin.
Dennis.
And Richard.
And yes, as I mentioned while I was editing last episode, I inserted an editor's note last episode. We were actually talking about like, hey, when's the new Balance Dataslate coming out? It should be coming out soon. And a few days after we recorded, the new Balance Dataslate came out. So it's not just balance changes. We also got new stratagems. We got units moved around into legends and retweaked and reworked. So a little bit of a revamp of the game again. Please, free digital rules, GW. So that will be our main topic today. But first, there is something I wanted to talk about, and that is something that is in the new White Dwarf. White Dwarf has been slowly rolling out rules and addendums for 40k that we saw Crusade rules for Votann introduced there. We've seen a number of new combat patrols. In fact, the latest White Dwarf includes a Harlequin's combat patrol. The issue before that was combat patrols for Imperial and Chaos Knights. So they're rolling out content for people. But this one is content that is faction agnostic and changes up the game considerably, and this is called Aspects of War. And basically, when you pick aspects of, like, it's one of these things, when playing a game of 40k, be it match play, crusade, or any other form of play, if you and your opponent both agree, you can use one set of Aspects of War rules in that game. In this issue, which is issue 510, the Aspect of War is Strategic Supremacy. What this does is it layers on top of the existing rules and does a couple of things. First off, it gives you a new pool of command points. It doesn't replace your old pool of command points. It's a new pool of command points called Exigence command points, because we can't have nice things and bookkeeping must be hell. At the start of each command phase, each player gains one Exigence command point in addition to the usual command point earned. They are a special resource that you can only use for these exigency stratagems in this particular document. But you can also use command points on those stratagems. You can mix and match and combine them, but you can't use your ECP on your detachment command points. Now, you may be wondering, well, what about core stratagems? Well, the thing is, if you use this Aspect of War, you don't get the core stratagems anymore.
Okay, first question.
Mm-hmm.
Does this apply for both players? Or
yes.
So you pick a game, you're replacing core stratagems with this new Art of War stratagems.
Yes. Yeah, you basically, both players agree, and yeah, you give up core stratagems for both players.
But thus, in turn, you get more command points in a way, because you'll use your normal command points for your own personal stratagems and the EC command points for your core ones. Or your Art of War ones. Okay.
Right. And you can use regular CP for the new stratagems as well. So basically you have more points to use these new stratagems with. Yeah, and like I said, you can mix and match. The other thing is this format also introduces an underdog bonus. So from Battle Round 2 onwards, at the start of the battle round, if one player has at least 5 victory points less than their opponent, they get an extra ECP. So if you start falling behind a little bit, you get extra ECP. If you're 15 points behind, you also get an extra CP. So you get extra regular command points as well.
This is going to depend on missions, whether I like it or not, because we've had some games where the majority of the points scored are at the end of the game. So you could tank the beginning, knowing and play for the end, getting more CP, and then go on the end objective and get benefits of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's all progressive, then yeah, you're fine with that. Then.
Right. And there are no specific aspect of war missions. This is meant to layer on top of any mission. So it could work very well. It could, like you said, kind of game it kind of old school where everybody does a mad dash for the end.
True.
And I know, like, it's not so bad in the newer Crusade books, but like the Leviathan one has a number of those missions where it's all or nothing.
Well, like even yesterday in the game I played against Necrons, we had the Alpha Omega points. So by turn 5, there was only 1 point on the board that was worth anything. And it was worth like 15 points instead of 5 each. So yeah, he won the game by holding that on the last turn. And so that's another, in my mind, thing where you've got things that are going away. So the things get better at the end of the game would be another one that it plays into.
Right. And then the other thing on this rule, and this might kind of address that a little bit, is that the amount of points you can have in strategic reserves is doubled. So you can have half your army in reserve. So how that would interact with some of the Crusade stuff we talked about last episode might be kind of weird, but for normal like match play or bunker play missions, you would have double reserve capacity.
If I'm honest, I always forget about that because I just mostly use deep strike and not strategic.
Mm-hmm. And so, okay, so here's your stratagems, and I'm just going to get this out right now. Things that you are giving up. There's no reroll stratagem here. So you get no command reroll. There's no insane bravery, no tank shock, no smoke screen, no
grenades.
No grenades.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, no grenades, no counter assault. So there's no way to interrupt the flow of combat. There's no heroic intervention, but there's one that's close. But yeah, like a lot of the things we take for granted in this game as, well, that's the thing you can do, are gone in this. So this is going to be a little bit more random, not so sure, because you can't retry things if you don't already have an ability that lets you re-roll it. So our strats, and these, again, they do cost ECP, but again, you can use any combination of regular command points and exigency command points for these. So you got victory or death, 2 CP in the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. 1 unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking units. So you target one of your units that's being targeted, and until the end of the phase, they just get fight on death. Everybody has access to fight on death in this set of rules.
So you don't have an interrupt, but you have a fight on death. Okay.
You have a fight on death. For 2 CP, or 2 ECP, I should say, Hammer Blow, which is used in the shooting phase or fight phase. You select one of your units. It's getting ready to shoot or fight. And until the end of the phase, every time they make an attack, they add 1 to the hit roll, 1 to the wound roll, ignore any modifiers to AP or damage.
Okay.
Useful.
Yeah, can't use it more than once per turn, so you can't do it in shooting and fighting phase. But being able to just kind of buff up an attack for, like, all the attacks for a unit could be very solid. Break the line in the movement phase for 1 ECP. Select a mounted or beast unit from your army that hasn't been moved yet. And until the end of the phase, every time they are selected to make a normal move, roll 2d6. Until the end of the phase, add the result to your move characteristic, and you can move through enemy models.
That's really awesome to go with, like, the Berserkers on Juggernaut unit that I have. Like, that could be really spicy.
Yeah. Crushing advance. Oh, yeah, by the way, there's no Overwatch either. So that would completely change things up for a lot of people.
So here's a random question I'll ask.
Okay.
If you use these and there's no, like you said, Overwatch, what if you have an ability that lets you Overwatch for 0 CP? Does that just not work, or
it just doesn't work? It just doesn't work because they all say you can use that stratagem, and that stratagem is not available.
Okay, then I'm already on the thing of, I've got units that have certain abilities. No, I don't want to use these.
Fair.
So, no.
That's fair. Crushing advance for in your movement phase for 1 ECP. Select a Titanic unit. Obviously Titanic units can move over other units. You roll a d6, you add it to your movement, so you advance, basically, but it is considered a normal move. And when it makes a move, you can move through enemy units. When doing so, doing the normal, it can move through engagement range, but can't end at engagement range. And when it ends that move, select a unit that you moved over. You roll 6d6 for each 3+. They suffer a mortal wound as you step on them.
I like that.
Targeted demolition for 1 ECP. You select a monster or vehicle in your movement phase. Every time your model ends a move, you select an area terrain feature within 2 inches of it. For each enemy model in that area terrain feature, roll a d6, adding 1 to the result if your model has a toughness characteristic of 10 or more. On a 6 up, so on a 5 or 6 if it's a tougher unit, enemy model's unit suffers 1 mortal wound to a max of 6. So there's your tank shock, sort of. It just they have to be on terrain. So you do it during the movement phase rather than during the charge phase. Inescapable Augury for 2 ECP in your shooting phase. Select one of your units until the end of the phase. Their weapons get indirect fire, and but if their range is greater than 12 inches, it's reduced to 12. So you only have 12 inches of range, but you can fire without line of sight.
Okay.
Enhanced ammunition for 1 ECP. In your shooting phase, select a unit from your army that hasn't been selected to shoot yet until the end of the phase. Add 12 inches to their range. If they're torrent, you add 6 inches to their range instead. And Inescapable Augury and Enhanced Ammunition can't be combined. So you can either have less range but no line of sight, or you can have more range, but not both.
Aw. But I want more range and no line of sight.
Yeah, no. Play guard. That's how that works. Play guard. You can get all the range you want with no line of sight.
I mean, I do have my Death Core stuff. Anyway.
See, yeah, you're fine. Valor's Charge for 1 ECP. In the charge phase, every time your unit declares a charge, you can select enemy units within 18 inches, and you roll 3d6 to charge instead of 2d6.
Useful.
I would say the World Eaters player is like, yes,
useful.
Yes, moving through units with mounted units, charging 18 inches. I'm down.
I could see these being useful.
Hit the deck for 2 ECP. This is when you are targeted. What an infantry, beast, or swarm unit you have is targeted by a shooting attack. Until the end of the phase, you have stealth, and you can't be targeted by range attacks unless they're within 18 inches. So you get super low op.
Okay.
And then finally, interception 2 ECP. Here's your heroic intervention, sort of. At the end of your opponent's charge phase, you select a unit from your army that is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. So note, you don't have to worry about it like it has to be if a unit charged one of your units. No, it's just you just pick somebody who's not in a fight. They get to make a charge move. They just don't get the charge bonus. So for two command points, you can charge on your opponent's turn.
So this does feel like a little bit of a mixed bag, and I think losing some of the more useful core stratagems probably means that you don't want to do this all the time.
Yeah.
But I really like that this is... The design of this edition has always been such where, like, it had this flexibility in there where you can, like, hey, but what if we just swapped out these stratagems for these, or these missions for these, or these core rules for these? And I think that's very neat. Like, I think as a kind of a one-off thing, this is really cool. Like, you could build for example, a narrative event or something around this and be like, hey, because of the system we're in or whatever, these stratagems are in play instead of these. And you can, like, give the event a different feel and, kind of shake up the standard way of playing the game. I don't know that I would necessarily want to, like, play in a competitive event or something like that, like with these instead of the core. But I love that the game system provides the flexibility of allowing for this. Or again, like, you could probably come up with some system of, like, okay, what if we used part of this? What if we use the strategic reserves and the underdog bonus, but use the core stratagems? That's the thing I like about this, is that they do have this system of, like, that's game design wise, it's flexible enough that they can add these things in and out, swap pieces and really change up the game and keep it fresh and dynamic, which I do like. I don't know if I necessarily like these specific sets of stratagems, but I like that they have that flexibility and that they're trying to experiment with it.
I'll say on my view, I kind of like Kevin. I like it as a one-off. I like as maybe peel some things off, but you definitely need to have everyone agree ahead of time. Or if you were doing it, like Kevin said, a narrative event, have it in the packet, have the packet out a month ahead of time so people are aware, because the gotcha of not being able, because reroll is a big one.
Absolutely.
And like you said, Rob, we take it for granted because we just always have these. So that leads me to I think the biggest flaw, bloat. These are in White Dwarf, you said. And if they keep on putting in the White Dwarfs, well, now you got to get more White Dwarfs and you got to carry them, or someone at least has to carry whichever one you're using. And also, as I told you guys earlier before we started, I guess my memory's not as great as it is, or maybe I've got too much to think about. And because when I played my game with the Guardians, I forgot to use the bring back a Guardian squad at full strength stratagem, just because I had so many other things to think about. So if we're swapping out all of the core stratagems, which I actually have memorized, to new things, that's just going to slow down the game. I mean, it'd be, like you said, a good for like a beer and pretzels game with a friend on a table that you expect to take 4 to 5 hours because you're going to be looking these up. Mm-hmm. So I kind of have a mixed bag, but right now I'm leaning towards good idea. There's already too much I have to think about now.
So I will say one thing they did provide in the White Dwarf to help with that is they included a set of stratagem cards that are just like you punch out on card stock. So
so books are not an issue, but remembering still is.
Yeah.
I mean, but to your point of like, oh, you have to buy more books, and that's what GW wants. They want you to buy more books,
right?
So.
They put this in there, and I think one of the reasons they put this in this particular issue of White Dwarf is because the main focus of this issue of White Dwarf is the new version of the Middle Earth strategy battle game. So this is an issue that most 40K players will likely skip if they, unless they are like Eldari players, because there's the Harlequins combat patrol and a feature on like how Eldari models have changed over time. So if you're like really into that, you might pick this up. Otherwise, like that's really the only 40K content in here is this Aspects of War thing. And it's the rules section of it is 3 pages. Like it's a tiny little add-on.
And it is a magazine, so even if you didn't have the card, you could rip 3 pages out.
Right. Yeah. So it's so like it's a small add-on. I'll
ask my next question. Because this is GW, do they have this in the app where they've provided it for free? I'm guessing no, because you have to buy a White Dwarf.
I have no idea that.
I'm pretty sure there's not a code. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's no code add-on, and unless they decide to roll it out later, I doubt it will be in the app. Which
I really like using the app, and I mean, yesterday I didn't even crack open the Eldar Codex. I probably should have, because the stratagems are much easier to see there than they are in the app. But it's just very nice having that one app that has everything you need, including all the errata that has already been fixed, which isn't in the normal print versions.
Right.
So
I am almost positive that nothing from White Dwarf has made it into the app. Yeah, I mean, no.
If Crusade hasn't made it, I'm pretty sure White Dwarf has.
Oh yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it won't. So yeah, it's something that it would be cool to have in the app, even if they did like a month delay. It's like, hey, it's in White Dwarf, and if you buy the White Dwarf, you get it for like a month or so, and then everybody gets it. It would be cool, or make it a download. I would also like it if they did that with the bunker missions instead of like they have the bunker mission like process of like the rules for setting up a bunker mission as a free download, but none of the missions themselves. Those are all still on cardstock documents included in the White Dwarf.
I haven't paid that much attention. Did they release like an annual with all the bunker, like 12 bunker missions in it?
No, not at all.
That would be really cool.
That would be cool. And I will say, it's like, we use the bunker missions for our narrative league, and everyone has enjoyed them. Like, they're fun.
And last year when we got together and just had the four of us playing, because we want to do that at least once a year, hopefully, you asked if we wanted to use those, and we said yeah, and I agree. Those were fun missions to play, and they were a change up for those of us that don't have the access to the bunker missions because we haven't bought the White Dwarfs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was nice. It was fun. It was refreshing. I liked it.
Yeah, I also wonder with this aspects of war thing, and the way they phrased it makes it sound like there's going to be more released over time. I don't know if they're all going to be based around stratagems. I don't are they all going to have their own stratagem sets? Are they going to change different? Are they going to be tweaks to other parts of the game? That I don't know yet. I think it would be weird if they're all stratagem sets, so I kind of doubt it. Mm-hmm. But I also wonder how much of this is a way for them to basically play, kind of beta test stratagems that they might want to apply to the game. Like maybe they're looking at Age of Sigmar and they're like, Age of Sigmar has all this extra interactivity because of how the command point system works in that, and how that works in that game. Maybe they want to provide a little bit of back and forth. So having a strat where instead of heroic intervention, where you can only charge if somebody charged you and it has to be within so many inches, instead, what if we just give people a way to charge on their opponent's turn? That could be cool. So this might be a way to work those in and see how they function amongst players who are the kinds of players who would pick up a White Dwarf, because I think you're right. There's no tournament is going to use these.
Yeah.
No, they are the antithesis of competitive play, because one thing you want with competitive play is consistency
and speed
and speed, and this is neither of those. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, Dennis. I like the catch up mechanic a lot. I think you could use that with just regular CP, and that could be very interesting to help kind of balance a game. Much more than the Crusade Blessings or something like that. If you're falling behind in a game, having more command points to do use your stratagems would be a good way to kind of help somebody get a leg back up. But yeah, I don't see these being used. I don't see the stratagems being used much. They are, in some cases, they are okay. In other cases, I can see them getting a little stupidly overpowered in the right hands with the right army. And as you pointed out, Dennis, if you take an army that is expecting to have access to the core stratagems because it's key to how some units work, then it's kind of pointless to take those units.
And I mean, I'm just playing Eldar. Heroically Intervene is one. Overwatch is one. And those are two basic ones. And I mean, since Eldar can't reroll as much anymore, I really want to spend my CP on rerolls. So
right,
yeah. For Eldar, I don't like these at all.
Now, I will say, at least on the other hand, you don't have to worry about units that you don't have to keep track of who's immune to Overwatch, because everyone is, if nobody can do it.
Oh, that's right. Because I have the battle focus that makes me immune to Overwatch. So yes, I want you to fail or not have a chance to Overwatch me.
Yeah, so now you can use those battle focus points to do other agile maneuvers. Just always have the extra movement. Always, always, always.
I mean, I did use a lot of that yesterday.
Yeah.
Now, I'm excited to see where they take this, though. As you mentioned, with other potential changes to the core rules and tweaks and potential beta testing. But I'm reading one of the articles here, and they talk about that the underdog system is basically exactly the one that's currently in Age of Sigmar 4th edition. So yeah, I would not be surprised if parts of this that get well received wind up in 11th edition or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I like that they're experimenting around and playing with the core building blocks of the game.
Yeah, like I said, I have there's just part of me that thinks, are they play testing bits and pieces? Because theoretically, if we follow standard patterns, we are a year or so out from 11th edition. Could this be a chance for them to either A, playtest things, or B, prime the pump and kind of get the ideas out there so that when they roll out stuff in the next edition, people aren't completely shocked, because it's oh yeah, they were trying this out in White Dwarf a year ago to see what,
Yeah.
So But until that new edition comes out, we have to deal with the edition we have, and so has Games Workshop, and that takes us to the most recent Balance Dataslate, which, as I said, came out a week or so ago. And I don't think this was as huge as the last Balance Dataslate across the board. We didn't have any core rules changes, for example, so nothing hit on the level of like, hey, no more 3-inch deep strikes, or Armor of Contempt doesn't work the same anymore. Those are still there, but those are there from like 3 months ago. We don't have anything quite on that level, and in fact, they didn't even roll out a new like designer commentary document. This is mostly just changes to individual factions. Both points changes and rules changes, and something that was a bit of a surprise: 3 new detachments for armies that in one case didn't need them, and in one case absolutely needs them, and in one case it was fine. Also, confirmation, I'm going to throw this one up at the top. Confirmation that we are not getting a print Chaos Demons Codex, but also that Chaos Demons are not going away. They are going to remain a digital index.
Oh, in the warp.
They are going to behave like Death Watch, where they are a living document that is maintained for the, I'm guessing, rest of the edition. Now, when we hit 11th edition, we don't know what will happen there.
They were all eaten by Tyranids. They were all eaten by Tyranids on their way back to their home planet in the warp.
The Poochie demons?
Yes.
But they basically, yes. So basically, they confirmed that the treatment of demons from Emperor's Children is going to be repeated in the other 3 god-specific Chaos Codexes. So yes, you will have a demons included in World Eaters. You will have demons included in Death Guard. You will have demons included in Thousand Suns. Will it be exactly the same where you can only use them in one detachment? That we don't know. That may differ, faction by faction, but there will not be a print Chaos Demons Codex. And also, along with that, not everything made it across this Balance Dataslate. A number of things were squatted, or at least legended. So, for example, it's mostly Slaanesh. Let's be fair. I think it's all Slaanesh. But let's see. Shalaxi Hellbane is still here. Keeper Secrets is still here. The Infernal Raptures is still here. The Mask, Contorted Epitome, Celeste, those are all still here. All the named characters are here. The generic Herald is still here. The Herald on Secret Chariot is gone, as is the Herald on the Exalted Chariot. This is because all the chariots are gone.
Oh, no. Oh, gosh. Oh, it pains me so much.
What?
Wow.
You know what's bad when even the Slaanesh fan in the group is like, yeah, no, screw those models. I'm done.
I haven't used the chariots since they were first introduced and a little overpowered. Not much overpowered. But they're not even painted and they're not even primed. I at least got them put together, and then I lamented because it has way too many spikes on the wheels. I'm like, I'll get to these someday, and well, that day never happened. So now they can go to Legends, and I'm not going to worry about painting them.
And I think I saw it like that. The rule, they still have rules in Age of Sigmar for right now. But I want to. But I want to say I saw somewhere where they are no longer even being sold.
That would surprise
Secret
me.
Chariot temporarily out of stock. Yeah, Tormentor, Bladebringer temporarily out of stock. Hellflayer temporarily out of stock. So it doesn't say they're sold out online. So they're not. They're apparently not gone forever, but they are not they're all out of stock, and apparently there's no rush to get them back in stock for Chaos Demons, and especially because none of them are in the Emperor's Children Codex, so there's probably not a lot of push to get them.
Well, and also they're big and unwieldy on the board, and for transport things, they are so wide and tall. They take up each one takes up half of a KR case. So yeah, I'm fine not having them.
They're also nightmares to build and paint.
Oh yeah.
So yes, so those are all gone. Yeah, apparently not too. Okay, I should say not too many tears shed. Not too many tears shed here. I did see demon players on Reddit like being like, they just squatted my entire army. I went chariot heavy and now I have no army. So not everybody.
That
was
surprises me, but yeah, sure. Yeah, it definitely a different way of playing than I do, I guess.
Yeah. The other thing that changed with all the Slaanesh demons is that all their stat lines and rules now match what was in the Emperor's Children Codex, which does address one of the issues we had where it's like, okay, now there's two different rules for demons, and you have to remember which one you're fighting. And if you have demons from the Carnival of Excess and you ally in other Slaanesh demons, well, now you have units that have different rules. That is no longer the case. All of them have been updated to have the same rules as Emperor's Children. So Demonettes no longer get to reroll hit rolls near objective markers. Instead, they cause battle shock. Keeper's Secrets Aegis no longer gives a 5-up feel no pain. It instead gives a 3-up armor save. Shalaxi lost to her feel no pain and has a 3-up armor save. So they function identically. It is a bit of a downgrade in many cases.
It is, but I'm not surprised because I think when we saw the Emperor's Children, we figured, well, when they get their codex, this is what it's going to be. I'm more surprised thinking, well, I guess they're not getting a codex.
Yeah. So yes, they are not getting a print codex, but at least they are still getting a book. Or they're still getting rules. Their rules will be maintained. They're not getting a book, but they are getting rules, which still have not been updated for Emperor's Children. As far as allying in, technically you still have to have Lucius as your warlord to ally them in. I don't know if it's just because it hasn't been updated because they're waiting for the official release of the codex, or if it's just because Fulgrim is that big of a dick that he won't allow them to show up when he's there. I mean, both of these things are possible.
That's true.
But let's get into the actual rules, the other rules changes, faction by faction. Starting with Adeptus Sororitas,
they got a buff.
They got one of the nerfs rolled back.
Yeah, I teased the other guy who's interested in Sisters down here. I'm like, hey, Sisters got a buff. He looked at it, he says, they just got their old rule back. I said, yeah, it's a buff. He said, no,
at this point,
they're just making it right.
Yeah, Sisters had become the worst army in the game, below even Imperial agents, it appeared. So, yeah,
they just nerfed him too hard. We said before, I don't understand who put that in. It seemed like they had two different groups saying, one group said we should nerf this, one group said we should nerf that, and so they nerfed them both, and it was bad.
Yeah,
still frustrated.
Now, the Bringers of Flame detachment is still as nerfed as it was before, but the change to Adeptus Sororitas is it is now no longer every phase that an Adeptus Sororitas unit from your army is destroyed. It is now you do get a miracle die every time one of your units is destroyed, which is still you're getting fewer miracle dice than you would have unnerfed because you still only get them once per battle round instead of once per turn, but at least you aren't completely hosed if somebody just decides to wipe out all your units in one turn.
Platite.
I still want them to change at least part of the Bringers of Flame so we at least get something there. Yeah. We all said it was too good to start, but it's just not good now. So
yeah, I think they could have kept the detachment rule and just made some of the stratagems more expensive. They hit too many. They applied too many nerfs at once rather than apply one, see how it goes, and then refine further. And we've seen that from GW before, where they hit too hard and then they must issue an apology.
Still doesn't mean I have to like it.
No, you don't. You absolutely don't. Let's see. No changes, and we'll get to points separately, but like no rules changes to Adeptus Custodes or Mechanicus. Eldari Osserman had his Hand of Asrian changed to anti-infantry 5-up.
I mean, it probably... I preferred the 3-up. Because he was already wounding most things on a 3, so it just made sense that. But so now what it is if, like in my game yesterday against the Necrons, when I used this ability, a 3 and 4 were just wounds. The 5 and 6, because of anti-infantry, were mortal wounds, because his weapon also has devastating wounds, which is why I think they decided, well, giving him a dev on everything is a little much, even though it could kill Terminator squads, and I thought that was wonderful. So yeah, this is a fine balance change. I'm not thrilled with it, but I understand it and accept it.
Yeah, it tones him down a little. Like, considering that's all Eldari got hit with, I think, other than some points tweaks, like
the points were horrible.
yeah. But rule wise, if this is all they got hit with, it's not. That means their rules aren't bad. They just have to be priced appropriately. Aster Militarum, the Grotmus detachment got hit a bit. Bridgehead Strike proved to be too good. So a couple of changes. First off, their Fire Zone Purge detachment rule, which says anytime they pop out of a transport or were set up from reserves, you add 1 to the wound roll when they make a range attack. They've changed it to add 1 to the hit roll, which, considering how good hotshot guns are, I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and truthfully, from seeing it in other games, anytime you add 1 or subtract 1 from the wound roll, those are big swings.
They are.
Yeah.
And then the other change to that detachment was the firing hot stratagem, which used to be you pick one of your Tempestus or Casterkin units, and when they shoot, you add 1 to the strength and AP characteristic of hotshot las carbines, las guns, las pistols, marksman rifles, volley guns, and sentry hot. So all the hotshot guns get better strength and AP. It now costs 2 CP, and only when you shoot somebody within 12 inches, which makes a huge difference. So they're like, yeah, the Tempestus detachment is too good. We need to bring that down a bit. So they have done that. We'll see what that does. I've seen a couple of Tempestus players not terribly happy, and yeah, that happens. And I mean, we've all been there. Some of us have been Sisters players, and like Tempestus Scions went up in points. Militarum Tempestus Command Squad went up in points. Casterkin did not, but they're already 110 points a squad, so I suppose that's fine. Also, the Krieg Combat Engineers, their remote mine got, I believe, toned down a bit.
I think it was originally D6 mortal wounds.
You selected enemy within 12 inches. On a 3-up, they suffered D6 mortal wounds or D3 plus 3 if they were a vehicle or fort. Now it's you select a unit within 9 inches. If they're visible to you, you roll D6. On a 3-up, they suffer D3 mortal wounds or 2D3 mortal wounds if it's a vehicle or fortification. So. Yeah. So shorter range has to be visible, half the wounds to regular units, and possibly as many wounds, but not as likely against vehicles or fortifications. So noticeably toned down.
I don't know why they have to have line of sight. Come on, they're remote mines. You can. Anyway, sorry.
No, I kind of, I do think, the idea is you're sending this thing in a remote. I shouldn't have to have line of sight. I do agree with that.
But I get why. Because engineers were flagged immediately as one of the holy smokes, these guys are really, really good. So
right,
yeah. I get toning them down.
Blood Angels. No direct changes, but when we get to Space Marines, the biggest thing that even I pointed out the minute I saw the Blood Angels rules and the new or when they rolled out the new version of Oath of Moment, even I was like, hey, wait, but we'll get to that when we get to Space Marines. No changes to Black Templars, but also affected by the same thing. No changes to Chaos Knights or Chaos Space Marines. Chaos Demons, the Legion of Excess Detachment, the one that had like the 70% win rate because it was way too strong. It has been also knocked down a bit. So the Seductive Gambit detachment rule, which was the one that said, like, you could give up fights first, and if you do, you get to reroll hit rolls and we reroll wound rolls, which we were like, against the right targets, that is stupidly good.
Mhm.
It is now, if you give up fights first, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 and reroll wound rolls of 1. If you are within your army's shadow of chaos, you can instead reroll the hit roll, but only reroll wound rolls of 1. So significantly toned down.
And it makes sense that you're more powerful inside your shadow of chaos.
Yeah.
Although I will say, from now having played against like demons and also then Grey Knights, it's sometimes a pain to always remember what their zone of control is, because you've got to ask, and if you're not familiar with that, and then I like the zone of control rules. I need to play against it more, and my opponents need to use it more, so we don't slow the game down trying to check on it.
Right. The Thieves of Pain strat, which was the one that's like, hey, when somebody allocates a wound to one of your non-monster like Legion Demonica Slanesh units, you can give the wounds, like basically inflict mortal wounds over on another unit within 12 inches. That has been changed to not affect monsters or vehicles, which it's a good thing they don't have any of those anymore.
Yeah, they do.
Are Soul Grinders still vehicles?
Yep, Soul Grinders are still vehicles.
So, and then the effect is you can only apply them to a unit that is within 9 inches and visible.
Oh, gosh, I didn't even think about just putting them on. Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's much less useful now. Like you have to be hugging them, and yeah, it's not great. And then the Overwhelming Excess Stratagem, which used to be you select when somebody shot at you, and the attacking unit had to make a battle shock test, and if they passed, they are -1 to hit. If they failed, they can't shoot that unit at all. It is now, the effect is just, you are -1 to be hit.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's huge nerf.
It does apply in the shooting or fight phase, so it's a little bit more flexible, but it is a huge nerf.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see why people would be, yeah. But also, if it had a 70% win rate, I could see why it might need it.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, it absolutely needed to be toned down, and with the changes to Slanesh Demons, it's going to be a far less powerful detachment.
But will it fall back to like when I started playing and it's a bottom tier list?
Given
Probably
what
not.
they did to I think it'll drop quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
I think the change to the detachment rule alone is a huge nerf. So yeah, and then with all the units, like again with like Demonettes not rerolling wounds natively or rerolling hits natively anyway, that's rough. Like it's gonna hit them hard. Dark Angels, no changes besides the regular Space Marine ones. Same for Death Guard. Death Guard don't have Space Marine changes, but no changes to Death Guard. No changes to Death Watch. No changes to Drukhari. No changes to Gene Stealer cults. Grey Knights, the Hallowed Ground detachment rule says you have to be able to see something to reroll the hit rolls of 1. So no 360 no scope with Grey Knights. No changes to Imperial Agents, Imperial Knights, Leagues of Votann. You got a buff.
I mean, this is amazing in my mind.
So your army rule is not only do you have the judgment token thing, you get 2 extra judgment tokens. Every Votann detachment, well, both of them, gets.
I mean, it makes
judgment tokens.
It makes sense. I mean, we got to have a reason to fight. Those two guys over there, that's why we're fighting. We hate them.
And then the Oathband detachment got updated to give 2 additional judgment tokens instead of just giving 2 judgment tokens.
Right. Or you could say 2 fewer than it normally gave.
Right.
So it, in essence, that one didn't get changed at all based on the way these two interact. But the Hearthband did get the buff of, hey, now we can actually start the game with people having judgment tokens on them, because that's kind of the thing we need. And we don't have as many units to just throw out there and die to start giving judgment tokens. So no, this is a well-needed change for Votann getting any other detachments, because that was the biggest gripe about the Hearthband detachment is we don't have the judgment tokens. We have very few elite units, so we're not having them die in other than a call just saying, hey, I don't like you. Judgment tokens were very few and far between. So at least this kind of puts it on par. Since the Oathband, well, you've got lots of sacrificial units. You're not giving that up. But Oathband will still get the CP bonus, which is big.
Yeah. No, this is really good for Votann. We don't know how long it is going to be until you guys get a codex.
I am fearful because we're already here at us are starting rumors that next summer might be the 11th. And since we don't have definition of a codex until we're guessing next year, I don't want Votann to be one of the last. And I'll admit, if Votann comes out next year and we're hearing hints and things of 11th, I might not pick up the codex. I might just wait for the new edition and the new index. So that's a problem that GW has and then Kevin, you've dealt with this Fourth World Leaders for years, of those last codexes just, they don't feel good, especially if you're not playing in tournaments. If you're playing in tournaments, yeah. But my big thing will be playing in the narrative things. And when I'm playing with friends, we can just use the old rules until the new edition.
It really depends on how big of a reset any new edition is. My hope is that an 11th edition, if it comes out next year, wouldn't reset all of the codexes, which would make it feel a little bit better. But yeah,
what I would want GW to actually, when they're not they like doing the big surprise of, hey, here's this new edition. I would rather them say, hey, here's this coming out. We're done with codexes for the next 4 months or so. So enjoy, because 4 to 6 is probably an okay time. It's not great. Than having it 2 years.
They did it early last year. Yeah.
But I would also prefer them saying whether the index and that or codexes are going to continue on, or they're going to index everything. So we'll see. But I want to know that early.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Necrons, no changes. Orks, the only rules change is tank bust is the bomb squigs. You can use one bomb squig, and you have to be able to see the unit you're using the bomb squig on.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. It's fair if you're going to make combat engineers have to be able to see the thing. Okay, the bomb squig has to be able to see the thing. So that's fine. Space Marines, Oath of Moment, Army Rule got changed again because of the Bloodless Angel phenomenon, which is the one I called out when they changed this before, that you could use a Blood Angels detachment, not use any units that had the Blood Angels keyword, and you would get access to the +1 wound. And that was a problem. Bloodless Angels were showing up in a lot of places. So the new Oath of Moment Army Rule does specify you can only get the +1 to wound if you are using a Codex Space Marines detachment. And your army does not include any units with the Black Templars, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Death Watcher, Space Wolves keywords. This fix works. I feel like it's the clumsiest way to apply this fix, because I think it would have been better. And granted, this does fix it in one place, so I guess it's fine there, but I would prefer it if the various faction detachments just said they give the keyword to that army, like all your units gain the Blood Angels keyword, that would have been an easier way to, like, a more consistent way to do it, and you could have more things key off of that keyword later. Also, the reason I don't like the wording of if you are using a Codex Space Marines detachment is because what of the Grotmus detachment? Is it considered a Codex Space Marines detachment even though it's not actually in Codex Space Marines?
I'm going to give you the answer you don't like. I'm going to say yes, because you technically don't have access to it in the app unless you bought the Space Marines Codex, even though you can download it for free on the site.
Now, did they... Okay, so the Grotmus detachments have been free, but is it actually...
Are they free on the app now?
The Grotmus detachments have always been free on the app. So, like, I don't have the Space Marine Codex unlocked. I can see the Librarius Conclave.
Okay, then never mind then. I thought people were saying there was one of them that was still locked.
Well, we'll get to that in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
There is something that is related to, but spoilers. But in the app, it is listed under Codex Space Marines. Let's see. The Librarius Conclave was updated, and like, I don't remember seeing any rules changes listed to it, although it could be under the Grotmus FAQ, because there was one of those too, but it is not listed anywhere under the Grotmus FAQ.
The big thing I don't like about the clunkiness of the way they fix this is now they've painted themselves in. So, like, if they were to add, say, Salamanders or Ultramarines or Legion of the Damned as, like, their own, like, supplement, now you have to go back and add them here. And it's like, just fix it at the detachment level where this gives you keyword Space Marine, this gives you keyword different faction. And yeah, you've solved it, and you don't have to go in and correct this every single time you make an update.
Right. And like, it needed to be fixed. I don't like this. Like, and again, the result is it fixes it the way that it needed to be fixed. I just don't like the actual mechanic that, like, I feel like there were better ways to do it, but effectively it's the same, so it doesn't really matter. I also
you have a keyword system. Like, the whole edition is based off of keywords, so leverage those.
Also, I would like to get away from things being tied to books. That is
right. Well,
yeah. Good luck on that. Yeah. Remember, free rules, GW, digital rules. You make money on the models, you're fine. They did make a change to the Stormlance Task Force detachment, aka White Scars. They changed the Windswift Evasion strat, which is the one where somebody ends a move within 9 inches of one of your units. You can move them up to 6 inches. They changed it from any Adeptus Astartes unit to any infantry or mounted Adeptus Astartes unit, so cutting vehicles out of it, which is fine. That's a bike detachment. It should, it should be infantry and bikes. So I think that's a fair change. The Lieutenant in Phobos armor has the ability that after he shoots, he can move D6 inches. They did change it to a 6-inch move, but if they do, they can't charge. So that was coming up apparently because people were using Reavers, and Reavers actually got mildly good, and we can't have that now, can we? And then Uriel Ventress, his ability to provide deep strike is now limited to Phobos Gravis or Tacticus models, so he can only deep strike Primaris Marines. I don't know how often that came up, but apparently they decided that it needed to be changed. And then after that, Space Wolves, no change beyond the change of Space Marines. Tau Empire, no change. Thousand Suns, no change. Tyranids, no change. And World Eaters, no change. So a lot more targeted, a couple of rollbacks, a couple of big nerfs, and a couple of buffs. So, mixed bag. Point-wise, you also have to be careful which point document you download, because there's a 2.4 if you download it from the website right now, and it does not have any of the updates highlight except for the ones to Emperor's Children. So there is, if you search, you can find a link to 2.3, which does have the changes highlighted. So I'll be referencing 2.3. Also, the changes between Emperor's Children are in both and are equally highlighted. So there was no point of doing a 2.4. I don't know why they did. It makes it harder to tell what changed. Going through, Adeptus Sororitas, a number of points drops, Sacrosants, Dominions, Repentia, Seraphim, Zephyrim, and Archoflagellants all dropped between 5 to 10, or in some cases, like Seraphim and Sacrosants, if you take full-size units, dropped 20 points. This is a help.
It should be, especially with the Miracle Dice change, too.
Yeah, with the Miracle Dice change, having more, being able to fit in a few more units, and or like maybe if you add it all up, maybe like a unit or so. I think
maybe I could get my vehicle back into my Repentia detachment.
Right. Yeah, I really do think they should have hit this army with more point drops, because I understand. Yeah, as we said, it's better to start small and then apply more changes as you go. So maybe they're going to drop these points, see where it hits. I think they could have dropped some of the other units a bit more, but we'll see how this goes for them. It is still an improvement.
It is always funny, though, that their like conservative approach for things is only about when they go to fix things, not when they're trying to break things.
Right. We'll break everything. We'll break everything and then slowly bring it back. Custodes. Okay, there were no rules changes. Although they did. Okay, so there's no rules changes in the balance document, but there is a change in the Grotmus FAQ to the Solar Spearhead. They basically clarified the unstoppable stratagem. You can use it in your movement phase or your charge phase, and each time a model in your unit makes a move, it can move through terrain features. It's the same thing. It's just you could do it in your charge phase too. So it's actually better, but there were a number of points changes. So Contemptor Dread, Telemon Dread, both went up in points. Custodian Wardens went up in points. Custodian Guard dropped in points. And all of these are like 10-point changes. Knight Centura dropped 15 points. Alea dropped 10. Shield Captain, all the Shield Captains dropped 10. And then the Augury uplink for the Solar Spearhead went up 10 to 35 points, which makes it one of the most expensive enhancements in the game at 35. But that's the one that gives it a 5-up feel no pain. So fair. Adeptus Mechanicus, only a couple of changes. Call got 15 points cheaper. Please take him. They're begging you. And Tech Priest Dominus dropped 5 points. So they just really want you to try to take some of those Tech Priests. No changes to Adeptus Titanicus, because why would you? Why do you need to change Titan points?
I mean, Codex... I would love Adeptus Titanicus, but the Eldar Titans are overcosted.
Yes,
Eldar Knights are overcosted.
I mean, so are the Imperial Titans, but
yeah, probably fair.
Yeah. Codex Eldari, you guys took some points hits. Dark Reapers, 10 model squad went up 15. Dire Avengers went up 5 per 5 models. Fire Dragons went up 10 per 5 models. Striking Scorpions went up 10 for 5 models, but not for 10 models, weirdly enough. I guess because everyone was taking them in 5 model squads.
Right. And, I mean, they're used for infiltrating, so you want your small squad to do that.
Yeah, and then Wave Serpents went up 10 points.
Yeah, the Dire Avengers and the Wave Serpent hit me the most. Fire Dragons hurts, but okay. They're really good now, so I can understand. And I think Dire Avengers just mostly got the bump because of Asherman.
Yeah, that's... and then, Dark Creepers, only their 10-man squad went up, and because you wanted, kind of like the opposite of Striking Scorpions, where you want a small squad of Striking Scorpions, you want a big squad of Dire Reapers, or Dire Reapers. You want a big squad of Dark Reapers to throw as many missiles as possible. So I see it. It's fair. And then no changes to any of their enhancements or any of the Inari.
The Wraith Knights are still overcosted. I just want to say that again.
Yes. Oh, and they did. Okay, so they didn't list it in the balance data slate, but I believe they did fix the Inari transport issue.
Yeah, I believe they made a... I thought it was in the dev commentary, maybe, or...
It's in Codex Errata.
Oh, Codex Errata, okay.
So the Falcon and the Wave Serpent, saying it can't transport Inari models. They excluding Asuryani, Ivrain, and the Vizark models. So you can put Ynnari regular Eldar into Eldar transports. Also, they gave Corsairs battle focus, so good for them.
Yes. Oh, my friend here who plays the Eldari is so happy about that. Like, he'd been wanting to use them, but he said without the battle focus, they're not on par with the other Eldar.
Let's see. I'm just bringing up other... Because one thing that is frustrating is they do have these errata kind of scattered everywhere. So like you have Balance Dataslate changes, and then you have errata changes, which are not the same, even though in the app they're going to look the same. Like, but some of it is little things like, hey, the Creed Command Squad pistols now have pistol, for example. That's good for them. So the pistol is actually a pistol.
Yay.
They did specify in the Orc FAQ that if you're checking to see if the WA is active, it does work if somebody uses a strat that makes somebody act like the WA is active. So common sense, but thank you for clarifying. Oh, and so along with the fix in the balance data slate, what detachments are considered to be Codex Space Marine detachments? Gladius, Anvil Siege Force, Ironstorm Spearhead, Firestorm Assault Force, Stormlance Task Force, Vanguard Spearhead, First Company Task Force, and Librarius Conclave. So we didn't do it in the Grotmus detachment FAQ, and we didn't do it in the Balance Data Slate. We instead threw it into an FAQ question in the Space Marine FAQ and errata document.
I mean, that checks out.
Yeah, let's make this as clumsy as possible. Oh, and they did specify that the Codex Imperial Agents Deathwatch kill team listed in the leader sections for the Inquisitor and Inquisitor Draxus only counts for the Imperial Agents Deathwatch kill team, not the one in Index Deathwatch.
I mean, that just makes sense.
It does make sense, but also the confusion of having Deathwatch in two places. Back to points, because points are so much fun. Astra Militarum ate a number of increases. Cadian Heavy Weapon Squad went up 15 because those have been very good, because I believe they're the ones that get ridiculous Overwatch. Catachin Heavy Weapon Squad went up 15. Nobody cares about you Kriegers. Field Ordnance Battery went up 10, and then we already mentioned the Tempestus Scions and Command Squad going up 10, so smaller tweaks there. And then the Bridgehead Strike, their Bombast class Vox Array went up 10 points, also 35 points, so also a very expensive change, or also a very expensive enhancement. No changes for Black Templars. Blood Angels, Death Company on foot got cheaper. Death Company Captain got on Jump Pack got cheaper. Rage Fueled Warrior, which gives you sustained hits 3 in the Liberator Assault group, went up 10 points, also very expensive. Index Chaos Demons, Bellicor went up 50 points. Not a small change.
He's really good right
He's
now.
really good, so fair, but oof. Like, he's getting near Primarch point cost at 370. I think he might be beating Primarch point cost at 375. Contorted Epitome went up 20 points. Fiends went up 5 or 10 points, depending on how many you take. Flamers of Tzeentch went down 10 to 20. Fleshhounds went up 5 or 10. The Great Unclean One went up 20. Nurglings went down across the board, 5 points for every 3 models. Rotigus went up 20, same as a Great Unclean One. Screamers of Tzeentch went down 5 or 10. Shalaxi Hellbane dropped 45 points, which, considering she lost her 5 up... Yeah, considering the nerf, fair. And the Mask of Slaanesh went up 10 points. And the Endless Gift in the Demonic Incursion detachment for Chaos Demons, which I believe is the Endless Gift. Is that the Nurgle one?
That sounds right.
Endless Gift, yeah, that's the Nurgle one that gives you a 5-up, feel no pain, 4-up if you're in your army's Shadow of Chaos, which is something you're going to put on a Great Unclean One, most likely. That might be the most expensive at 45 points now.
I mean, from what I'm hearing, they're realizing Feel No Pain is really good and starting to point cost it appropriately.
Yeah. Chaos Knights, the big knights, a lot of them went down. Desecrator down 10, Despoiler down 15, Tyrant, so like the Dominus style big knights, went down 30. Thank goodness they didn't lower the points on War Dogs again.
Okay, I still think Armigers should be a little more, and War Dogs should be a little more, but Knights, Eldar Knights are more expensive, and we aren't as cool.
Not wrong. Not disagreeing with you. Chaos Space Marines. The Chaos Predator Annihilator went up 5. Forge Fiend dropped 10, and the Disco Lord dropped 15. I still don't think anyone's taking him at that point, but at least it's something. Dark Angels, no changes. Death Guard, both their Predators went up 10 points. Myphitic Blight Haulers went down 5 points per model. Death Watch, Terminators went up 5 if you take 5, but they went... Terminators went up 10 if you take 5, but they dropped 10 if you take 10. So they're 190 for 5, 350 for 10. So punishing you if you take small squads of Terminators. Okay, fine. Drukhari, your battle line got 10 points cheaper. Kabalite Warriors down 10, Witches down 10. Emperor's Children. We talked about the points on Emperor's Children, and some of this is getting points a little bit more in line with the Chaos Demons Codex. So like Shalaxi Hellbane is 380 here. Keeper Secrets is 280. Fiends are 95 and 190. Demonettes are 90. But among the stuff, the small little section that is actually Emperor's Children units, because they need more units. Rhinos and Chaos Spawn went up. So Chaos Spawn are now really, like, they're fast, but now they're only 5 points cheaper than Infractors or Tormentors, which now I think makes them officially the best action monkeys in your army. Their Terminators went down 5. The Prince with Wings went down 15. Flawless Blades, 110 for 3, 220 for 6. That's a 40-point drop for 6. That makes them far more viable.
Yeah, that makes them fantastic.
Yeah. Which now means a unit of 6 in a Land Raider is 460, which is still a big chunk, but it's way less than it was before. Infractors dropped 10 points for 5, 30 points for 10. So your melee battle line is much cheaper at full squad size. Lord Exultant down 5. Lord Cacophonous down 10, which makes him such an easy splash into Noise Marines. Mauler Fiend down 10, which is good because that army needs that unit very badly. Noise Marines stay at 135. That's fine. I think that's appropriate. Sorcerer dropped 10. You still probably won't take it, but it's there. Tormentors down 10 at 5 points, down 20 at 10 models. So 85 and 170, much, much better. The detachment enhancements, kind of a mixed bag. Rapid Evisceration, they raised the cost of the Heretic Adept, the one that lets you fix vehicles. But as we pointed out, the logistics of that are so weird, I don't think they needed to. Otherwise, like a couple of them, Coterie of the Conceited, couple of the pledges went down 5 points, one of them went up 10. I don't like that detachment anyway, so these are just kind of like revisions. Slaanesh Chosen, 5 points up on Eager to Prove. Peerless Bladesman, Blinding Speed dropped 10, Faultless Opportunist went up 5, Mercurial Host, the Intoxicating Musk dropped 5, Carnival of Excess, Dark Blessings went up 5, Empiric Suffusion Dark Blessings went down 5, Empiric Suffusion went up 5. So it's kind of a realignment with where the points need to be to match things that are out right now. So That's fine. Yeah, it's fine. We will see how it plays. The one difference between I did say that they are still color coded in version 2.4. The one difference between 2.3 and 2.4 as far as Emperor's Children is the 2.3 one says, hey, the Emperor's Children Codex is available to people who bought the box, but it's not technically tournament legal. So these are just the points to be able to use them in friendly games. But there's no change in the points between the friendly game and non-friendly game version. Gene Stealer Cults, one change. Neophyte hybrid units of 20 went up 15 points. Grey Knights, Interceptors dropped 5 points for every 5 models. Imperial Agents, the Calexis Assassin went down 15. If every unit, and that is true whether you're splashing them in or playing Agents of the Imperium. Imperial Knights, the Knight Castellan and the Knight Valiant, aka the Dominus Knights, went down 30 points, so they're a little bit more affordable. No changes for Leagues of Votann. Doomsday Arc went up 10 for Necrons, because that is a very good unit right now. Orks, the big mech with shock attack gun went up 10. Tank Bustas went up 15. Which, I guess, I don't know, like,
I mean,
maybe...
based on the new detachment, which we haven't talked about yet.
Which we haven't talked about yet and is not listed in this document yet, but yeah. Space Marines, some, a little bit of, a number of points increases. The Ballistus Dreadnought goes up 10. Company Heroes went up 10. Marneus Calgar went up 10. The 2 Predators went up 5 and 10, whether you take Annihilator or Destructor. The Vindicator went up 10, which that needed to be done because a lot of those Bloodless Angels lists were running like double or triple Vindicators. Like, apparently Vindicators have become very popular in the Space Marine Quarter. Whirlwind went up 10. Blade Guard Veterans got cheaper. 3 models went down by 10. 6 models went down by 20.
Cool.
And Centurion Devastators dropped 20 and 40 points, depending on whether you take 3 or 6. It's nice to know that Centurions are still getting attention, and the shooty Devastators are now cheaper. I've seen a lot of buzz about Blade Guard getting cheaper. I personally really like running Blade Guard in my Blood Angels, so I'm happy for this, but then my Ballistus Dreadnought went up 10 points, so it's kind of a wash for me. And also Rage Fueled Warrior went up 10, so I think my Blood Angels list did not change at all, points-wise. Just no changes for Space Wolves. Tau got a cheaper Lone Spear and cheaper Rampagers, so if you're playing Kroot, that got a little bit cheaper. Thousand Suns, Scarab Occult Terminators and Cultists went down. Sorcerer and Terminator armor went down. Zangor Enlightened 6 model squad went down. 20 model unit of Zangors went down 10 points. Predator, Annihilator, and Destructor both went up 5 and 10 points respectively. Their Vindicator went up 10 because, again, Vindicators are apparently too good in these lists. And the Mutalith Vortex Beast went up 5, I guess, for fine points adjustment. Tyrannid, Exocrines, and Tyrannifex went up a little bit. Neurolictors and Trigons and Hive Tyrants went down a little bit. And then World Eaters, your Demon Princes got 15 points cheaper. Your Predators went up 5 and 10 points just like everyone else. And your Juggy Lord went down 20.
Heck yeah.
I was going to say, is anyone even taking Predators in World Eaters lists?
I mean, I'm sure people that are like trying to actually be competitive probably are, but no, I don't actually think I own a Predator across all of my armies.
I'll trade you because I have 2 I can't use.
Actually, no, I do have a Chaos Predator because it was like a 2nd edition, like Rhino chassis Predator. Anyway, but yeah, I don't think I've ever used it.
So that's all the balance changes. So we have points changes, mostly fine adjustments, some corrections, like especially like Sisters. Again, the balance changes themselves seem a little bit more targeted either to particular detachments or to correcting some issues with a couple of factions. But as I said earlier, we have new detachments too. So we got 3 new detachments. Adeptus Custodes got a detachment, Orks got a detachment, and Tau got a detachment. Tau now have 6 detachments total. We almost have a codex worth.
Woohoo!
Actually, I'd say 6 would get us to a codex worth. So I'm not unhappy with that, but we'll save. Actually, we're gonna do Custodes first, then we'll do Tau, and then we'll do Orks, because I'm gonna save the best for last. So, Custodes get Lions of the Emperor, your new detachment rule, against all odds. Each time an Adeptus Custodes unit from your army, excluding vehicles, so this is like the opposite of the Solar Spearhead, makes an attack. If there are no other friendly units within 6 inches of that unit, add 1 to the hit and wound rolls.
I mean, at basic, that sounds awesome, but all this really is, well, the hit roll part is benefit against stealth or the like, because they normally hit on 2-ups anyway.
I would say one thing it does is it lets you like if you have to spread out your units for board control, which with Custodes you don't have a lot. Like this does, I think this is easy to play into.
Yes, this addresses that problem, and I looked at this, I'm like, oh, this makes Custodes, because you want to spread out anyway, and they're supposed to be like 1 man is worth 10,000 normal men, so yeah.
It's like thematically appropriate, yeah.
Yeah. But the wound roll one will come in big, I think.
Yeah. Your enhancements, superior creation, Custodes infantry model only. The first time you're destroyed on a 2-up, you get back up with your full wounds remaining.
I always love enhancements like that. I love taking it on my call, although Hearthband doesn't have it, only Oathband does.
And it is not limited to shield captains, so blade champs with this are gonna enjoy this. The Presidius, any Adeptus Custodes model, the bear has lone op and stealth.
Oh gosh, put that on a jet bike?
Yeah. Fierce Conqueror, shield captain only. At the start of the fight phase until the end of the phase, add 2 to the attacks characteristic of melee weapons equipped by the bear for every 5 enemy models within 6 inches of you, rounding down. So,
okay.
Basically, it's like melee blast.
Yeah. I kind of like it.
And then Admana Mortis, shield captain only. Improve the strength characteristic of your weapons by 3. Improve the AP and damage of those weapons by 1.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that on a jet bike would also be effective.
True, but I'm just thinking just on a normal character or a blade champion.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a shield.
Well,
captain
no, can't be blade. Can't. Yeah, shield captain only, but a Terminator shield captain.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get some real punch with some of these enhancements. Strats, Gilded Champion. After one of your characters has just used an ability on its datasheet that says it can only be used once per battle, you can use it an additional time.
I like that. Yeah, each one has a different thing to make them unique.
So regular shield captain is once per battle, have both kata stances up. Terminator armor once per battle. Whenever they take damage, drop it to 1. Captain on bike, once per battle until the end of the fight phase. You can make a fallback move or make a normal move if there's nobody in close in engagement range with you. So you get to do that twice.
Don't forget Trajan.
That's true. He is a character. He gets his once per battle, have 12 attacks and a 2-up invulnerable save.
Yeah.
So fair.
Maybe I should pick Trajan up.
And it's also any of the characters, so also Blade Champ once per battle, charge after advancing. Or Valerian once per battle, make the hit or wound roll or save a 6.
That's also useful.
Yeah.
I don't know, Trajan feels like the winner to me.
I mean, Trajan's really, really, really solid.
I want 12 attacks. Oh, yeah. Now I'll use it again. I got a 2-up invuln now.
And they do specify you can't do that multiple times for the same character each battle. It's only once per battle. Yeah, but that's fair. Defiant to the last. In a fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected you as a target, one of your units as a target of a charge, until the end of the phase, you get fight on death on a 4-up, but you add 2 if the model is a character. So characters fight on death on a 2-up. Okay. Peerless Warrior. In the fight phase, after one of your units gets ready to fight, you have precision.
I like this so much better than your crits are precision.
Unleash the Lion. Select a Alaris Custodian or Aquilon Custodian unit, which is that one of the Forge World?
Yes. That's the Forge World Terminator.
Yeah. It lets you. It does the thing that they used to do back in the day, where they all split into separate units of 1.
Oh gosh, that's
nice.
That's very interesting in this because the turn you did it, you wouldn't get the bonuses unless you advanced and had them all go different directions. But still, I like that it's back.
And you can use it. You use it in your command phase. So you could like buy a unit of 6? Can you buy them in 6s or can you only buy them in 3s? Well, I've got the codex right here. I should look at that. Well, you can get them on units of up to 6.
Yeah.
Buy a unit of 6. Now you have 6 units. And it's only 1 CP. Yeah, that could actually be really good. And it's a nice throwback to their like one of their original abilities.
Yeah, if you wanted to run 18 of them.
Oh, God. Maneuver and fire lets you fall back and shoot or charge. And then swift as the eagle, when your opponent's shooting phase, after they have targeted you with a shooting attack, or just after an enemy unit has shot at you, you get a D6 normal move.
Either move up, move sideways. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is about flooding the board with small units of custodes and spreading out. It seems like a fun way to play. Like, is it gonna be like as good as, let's see, like their default detachment is like the shield host?
Yeah.
I guess shield host is the one you're gonna, because otherwise it's talons. This doesn't play well. Doesn't replace
this is different style of Talon. Talons is probably still my favorite because that way you're keying on using both. I also admit Talons is not a good one, but this is probably my second favorite. I want to try it out because it seems fun.
Yeah. No, this is just a neat detachment. I like this one for Custodes.
I will also admit the vehicle one was also fun. So
the vehicle one is cool. The vehicle one is apparently very good. So
it is very good, but I'd put that third because I want to use my characters, and also I don't have as many dreadnoughts. If I went up in points at all, because I think I've got 3 dreadnoughts and 1 land raider. So I mean, it was very few units, and this addresses the very few units. You can have lots of units.
Yeah. This is an interesting alternative. This is the one that's the alternative to the Arc Champions, which is just the character detachment.
I like this more.
Yeah. Now let's get into Tau Land, the experimental prototype cadre, which is also a throwback to the like the 9th edition Tau Codex, where they had the like Borkon, where it made your weapons better. So this is detachment rule is superior craftsmanship. Add 6 inches to your range of all your ranged weapons, which which is really nice because you're talking you're back to 9-inch melta range with 18-inch meltas.
Is this all your guns?
All ranged weapons.
Yeah. So your rapid fire, you got 3 extra inches to determine rapid fire.
Yep.
And I remember early on, I hated playing your Tau because as soon as I got into rapid fire range, I could finally shoot you, but I was in your rapid fire range. It's like,
right. 18-inch flamers. Which,
gosh.
Yeah. The reason that's good is because you've got like the crisis suits, the Star Scythe, where they are really good at killing infantry, and they come with flamers and burst cannons, which... if we look at their the various crisis suits, Sunforge battle suits with 18-inch fusion blasters, 18-inch melta-guns. I love that for them because it lets you deep strike a bit further out. That's super important. Fire knife suits with 24-inch plasma rifles and 36-inch missile pods. Star Scythe suits with 24-inch burst cannons and 18-inch flamers. Pulse rifles with 36-inch range, breachers with 16-inch pulse blaster range, which is stupidly good. Yeah, that's really good. Like stealth suits with 24-inch range and 18-inch fusion blasters, ghost keels, which ghost keels have had the problem of some of their guns do require you to get a little bit closer to, like, especially the secondary weapons, the fusion blasters and the flamers are now 18-inch range, which means you can use them outside of on targets outside of lone op range, which really, really digging that. Pathfinders with 36-inch rail rifles and 26-inch pulse carbines. And it's Tau Empire keyword units, which means also like your Vespid have 24-inch neutron blasters, which I love for them. Even your Kroot have like 30-inch rapid fire Kroot rifles. So like I wouldn't use this with a Kroot detachment. They need to be in their Kroot, like Kroot need to be in a Kroot detachment to really function, but it's a little bit better. Piranhas with 18-inch fusion blasters, broadsides with 66-inch range rail rifles. They didn't need extra range. This is just so much better for a lot, like, especially crisis units really benefit from this. Your enhancements, Supernova all of these improve one of the weapons that a commander unit can take. So the Supernova launcher makes your frag projector better, improve the strength of it by 3 and the AP and damage characteristics by 1. To compare that to what they are right now for like a standard commander, the AFP is normally strength 3, AP 0, damage 1 with a 24-inch range. It's now a strength 6, AP 1, damage 2, 30-inch blast indirect fire weapon. Thermoneutronic projector makes your flamer, instead of being strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage, it's now strength 6, AP 1, 2 damage. Plasma accelerator rifle goes from being a strength 8, AP 3, 3 damage, 1-shot rifle to a strength 10, 2 attack, AP 4, damage 4 rifle. And Fusion Blades takes a Fusion Blaster, gives it 2 attacks, takes it from being 1 attack, strength 9, AP 4, D6, Melta 2, to 2 attacks, strength 12, Melta 4. Now, it's not the old Fusion Blades where he gave you a melee ability, but I don't care.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with it. An 18-inch, strength 12, Melta 4, 2-shot Fusion Blaster. Yeah, I might run this instead of the, like, I love the Retaliation Cadre, but this definitely gives me some options I can work with. Your strats, the automated repair drones. You target a battlesuit, it heals D3 plus 1 lost wounds for 1 CP. Reactive impact dampeners in the shooting or fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, you get if they shoot you with something stronger than your toughness, you subtract 1 from the wound roll. We see that a lot. I think with crisis suits and battle suits, that's actually pretty good. Experimental weaponry, whenever you have to roll 1 or more dice to determine the number of attacks made with a weapon in a unit, you can re-roll the result. Star Scythe flamer suits. Oh god. Like, I love this. Experimental ammunition. In your shooting phase, you select a Tau unit getting ready to shoot. Doesn't have to be a battlesuit unit, just any Tau unit. Apply one of the following: either increase the strength by 1, or the strength and AP by 1, but the weapons get hazardous. And then Threat Assessment Analyzer, same thing in your shooting phase. Select a Tau unit getting ready to shoot. Select standard, sustained hits, or lethal hits. The weapons get that. You can select both, and they also get hazardous. You cannot combine this with the experimental ammunition, and vice versa. But being able to just selectively give sustained or lethal, or risk giving both, or get +1 strength, +1 AP, which again, fusion blasters, or like plasma rifles, things like that, or like just getting sustained hits or lethal hits on something that needs a lot of shots like this, like these are good. And then finally, the Neurowev System Jammer. This is only for crisis suits. When one of your enemy units targets a crisis suit unit from your army, you give them 18-inch lone op. So when I start running Tau again after I get done with playing Blood Angels, this is the one I might go back to. I like this. It's a nice alternative to the Retaliation Cadre because it is not so focused on battle suits that it's the only thing that you'd want to run with it. It's good for everything in the army, but it also pumps up battle suits in good ways. And yeah, the enhancements are maybe a little less flexible than some other detachments enhancements, but being able to make some of your weapons just absolutely killer, I'm here for. And then, as I said, we're going to save the best for last.
With the Eldar?
Because what do orcs always need? More RoeTaKa. And that is the name of the detachment, more RoeTaKa. Your detachment rule, DAKA, DAKA, DAKA. And I think, Richard, you and I agreed this is stupidly good.
Yes. This is like I don't even know that they're like there are certain builds that will be really good with this, but like in general, I think like as long as you aren't going just super melee focused, this will be good for most orc armies.
Oh yeah. So the DAKA, DAKA, DAKA rule is during your shooting phase. So this doesn't carry, or it doesn't cover Overwatch. That's fine. But during your shooting phase, ranged weapons equipped by orc, infantry, and walker models from your army have sustained hits 2. Now let's remember, orcs only hit on 5s most of the time. So that means half of your hits are tripled. Also, while the WA is active, your orc and orc infantry and walker models, all their ranged weapons have assault. That's on top of the things they normally get from the WA, which is like advance and charge and a 5-up invulnerable. So, yeah, this one, like, just from the jump, this seems like an alternative to the Dread Mob, because it does affect walkers.
Yep.
Your enhancements, Dagobshot Thunderbus, orc, and all these are orc model only, not tied to like Big Mech or War Boss or anything. So, Gobshot Thunderbus, your ranged weapons for that bearer have devastating wounds and hazardous, which is fair. It's orcs. Dead Shiny Shooters, ranged weapons equipped by the models in this bearer's unit have rapid fire 1. Did you want more shots? Because we got more shots. Target and Squigs, each time a model in the bearer's unit makes a ranged attack, add 1 to the hit roll. And Zog Off and Eat DAKA, you can shoot after falling back. Like, all of these are solid if you're leaning into shooty orcs.
Yeah.
Very, very solid. Your strats. Orcs is still orcs in the fight phase. You select an orc unit in your army that hasn't been selected to fight yet. When they fight, they reroll wound rolls of 1. If the enemy unit is within range of an objective marker, you can reroll the wound roll again, because the flavor text said, sure, these orcs may be trained to shoot, but hey, in the end, orcs still like to beat people up. Get stuck in, lads. In your command phase, select an orc unit from your army. Until the start of your next command phase, that unit treats the WA as active, even if you've already called the WA. Huge show-offs. In your command phase, select a non-Killacan Orc Walker, which, I will remind you, can include a Stompa. That unit gets +1 movement, +1 leadership, +1 OC, and every time they make an attack, +1 to hit, until the start of your next command phase. Long uncontrolled bursts for 1 CP in the start of your shooting phase. Select an orc character model from your army. This one is worded weird because of how it's targeted. So select an orc character model, then select an enemy unit within 18 inches of that character, and then until the end of your phase, other orcs or all orcs in your army targeting that unit that's within 18 inches of your character have ignores cover. With the flavor text basically being, when somebody is spotted hiding in cover, they will just shoot as many shots as possible in the hopes of something hitting them.
Wait, how does that differ from normal orc strategy?
This is more DAKA. More DAKA. Special shells in your shooting phase. Select an orc unit to shoot. Each time a model in that unit makes a range attack that targets the closest enemy unit within 18 inches, improve the AP by 1, which with orc shooting and being able to like triple up shots, that could be pretty solid, because that's going to do things like, let's see, gets your flash attacks down to AP 2, get some of your Ludus shots down to like your def guns down to 2, your rocket launches down to 3, tank buster rocket launches down to 3, Storm Boy, like your just regular slug is down to AP 1, which is already pretty good. And then finally, call that DAKA when somebody shoots at one of your orc units and lost a model, you can shoot back as if it's your shooting phase, but you can only target the enemy unit when doing so, and only if that enemy unit is an eligible target. Now, while it does say as if it were your shooting phase, if I remember right, that doesn't necessarily mean the detachment rule will carry over. So you wouldn't necessarily get the sustained hits 2 there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still, it's being able to shoot back when somebody kills an orc in a mob of boys, they shoot back.
It's extra shots. So yeah. More DAGA.
More DAGA. The number of units that can really benefit from this detachment is stupid. This is such a, if you want to play shooty orcs, this is so good.
Yeah, it does make me frustrated the way they lay out the boys kit, because there's only, I think, 5 shooters in the kit for 10 boys, so it's
right. Yeah, it's not like the old kit where you could go one or the other. It's weirdly mixed.
The original kit, I think last I looked, was still actually available.
It is. So you can buy, so there's boys and then there's orc boys. These are 2 different SKUs. The new kit is the new sculpts, but is split up between, as you said, choppas and sluggas. Whereas the orc boys, the old orc boys kit is $13 cheaper, is not an online only, and has all the options. That's the kit you want to buy if you're going to make this detachment.
Yep.
But just running down through this. I mean, Gazgul was sustained hits 3. A war boss, or sustained hits 2. War boss was sustained hits 2. Big Mech and Mecha Arm, because custom shooters have already put out a decent number of shots. A shock attack gun was sustained hits 2. Tanks don't get your trucks and your battle wagons won't get this, but boys, hell, Gretchen get it. I mean, for what it's worth, they have that orc. It's just the faction keyword, so it's just all orc infantry. Knobs, obviously, mega knobs get this. It wouldn't affect Burna Boys much because torrent weapons don't roll to hit. But
right, yeah, I was looking at knobs and thinking about how I should make a unit that uses combi weapons.
Because combi weapons being, they're one shot, they are rapid fire, but when it's not a lot of shots.
But anti-infantry 4+, devastating wounds, rapid fire 1, sustained hits 2.
Yeah. If you have enough combis, and it's any of the knobs can have combis, so yeah, knob that is terrifying. Mega knobs with combi weapons, because that's just what they have by default. Storm Boys tank buster rockets, which already have D3 attacks, so a squad of tank busters is putting out a lot of attacks, and now there's more. Flash Git snaz guns already have 3 attacks, and they have sustained hits 1, so this would replace the sustained hits 1 with sustained hits 2, but 2 is still bigger than 1.
Yep.
Ludas, big shooters, def guns, all good. Commandos with their custom shooters that are rapid fire 2. Rapid fire 2, sustained 2.
Yep.
And then Def Dreads, Killicans, Morkanauts, Gorkanauts, and then the Stompa, which the Stompa with a Supagatla, which already has sustained hits 1, but now it's sustained hits 2, and 20 shots. And the 3 big shooters it has. The Def Cannon that is 3d6 attacks and blast. No, I don't like that. The strength 14, 3d6 blast sustained 2. No. Like I said, and the great thing about this is, you get that without having, it's not like the Dread Mob where you risk applying hazardous, if you do the button effect.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of very good ways to build this, and you're still, and as the strat says, you're still orcs, so you're still going to be really good in a fight too. So, I mean, this is a really, really good detachment for orcs. Like I could see people, like I could see this taking off competitively, like that. It's that good.
Yeah.
And I guess that they added this because the tactical mob has been doing decently well, so they wanted to tone that down. And it's like the Goonhammer review, when they were going through all the changes, they're like, orcs are kind of like, as far as like, you know, who's the winners and losers in this pass, they said orcs should be slight losers because the tactical mob got toned down, but oh my god, are they big winners because they got this detachment. And it's like, I guess it fills in a gap that the orcs, because now I think this also gets the orcs to like 8 detachments. So I guess it, you know, having straight up shooty orcs does fill a gap somewhat, but damn. And I think they had to make it sustained too, because if there are enough orc weapons that have sustained 1 already that it wouldn't have the level of impact that it needed. But whoo boy, this is going to be a good detachment. So now here's the thing, and Dennis, you had mentioned earlier about like people complaining that stuff was locked. I was complaining on our Discord because these 3 detachments are not this considered like Grotmus style detachments where they're just free for everyone.
Okay, so it's these, not the Grotmus
It's
ones.
these, yeah. These are codex locked. So I cannot view the RoeTaKa detachment or the Lions of the Imperium.
I was working on one of those while we were talking about it.
Right, but you have the codex.
I have the Custodes, yes.
Yeah, you have the Custodes codex, so you have it unlocked. I have the Tau codex, so I can view the experimental weaponry, like the experimental like prototype detachment. I can't view the Orc one, and I can't view the Custodes one, and yet I can download them for free. Now, one thing I will also note is I can download these for free, but they do not include points. Unlike the Grotmus detachments where they do include points, although some of those are no longer accurate because of errata and the Munitorum press. But I believe if I check, let's see, 2.4 Munitorum points, Lions of the Emperor is included here. So they are included in the Munitorum detachment. They're not highlighted because there's no changes to the points. They are just new and pre-existing, you know. So they are like, they do have the points for all of these up in the newest document. So not the one that was color coded in a useful fashion, but they are here. But yeah, the rules themselves are codex locked, which I find extremely silly. But again, as I've said a couple of times this episode, GW, please free digital rules, because that is what all your competitors are doing. Or at the very least, inexpensive rules that don't require 60, like, or even just a cheaper option to buy digital rules would be fine. But yeah, 3 new detachments, which I am surprised. I don't know what spawned this, other than they just decided these particular factions needed a leg up, but they didn't want to just try to push one of the existing detachments. And they do give them different ways to play. I'll absolutely like this. The Custodes one seems like it's a different way to play than any of the other detachments. The Tau one is definitely a different way to play than any of the existing detachments. The Orc one leans into something that none of the other Orc detachments really do. So like it's all good. It just seems odd to release them as part of a balance pass. And it makes me wonder, like, are other factions going to get this? Also, I will note that none of the factions here are waiting for codexes. These are all these are all factions that have books out now. So it's like there are other factions like Votan, for example, that could stand to have another detachment to choose from, and they're not going to release anything for any of the Chaos detachments because those are either coming or they're like the, Chaos Demons where they're stuck in Index Land forever. Like, we know Chaos Knights are coming. We know all the Chaos Legions are coming. So, like, that's all taken care of. But there's a number of Imperial ones.
Here's my thought on that, is it makes sense to me that these would be codexes that were out rather than not out. Because one, maybe these were on like they only want to put so many in and they were on the cutting room floor, but let's go ahead and release them now. But also we've seen some codexes that actually change the army rule. And if they're going to release a detachment for a codex that's not out and then have to change the army rule,
fair,
they've got to go back and change more things.
That's true. So,
well, they also even said in the article where they release things that like, yeah, we're going to be doing things quarterly for armies that have codexes already. So
that's interesting that they're. And again, it shows the strength of this rule system. You mentioned earlier when we were talking about Aspects of War how modular this edition is, and it has played out the way that they like pitched it when they pitched 10th edition. So, I like that. It's just kind of interesting to see how it's playing out, and it does keep the codexes from getting stale, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it still seems like there should be a better way to distribute these rather than like in the as a free download, but not in the app. That's weird.
100% agree.
Yeah. But overall, like, I don't hate this balance. Like, I think this is a decent balance pass. There's things that like maybe some of the bigger changes they're waiting to see how they play out after, like, collect more data, get a couple more codexes out there. So like that's why we didn't have any core rules changes. I would have liked some clarification or errata to update all the sticky objective rules to work the way the new ones do, since it obviously confused us when we read it. It would be nice to have that clarified in in errata and in like the designer designer commentary, but we're not there, so that hasn't happened yet. Maybe they're waiting because technically there's only a couple of armies that have that wording, so maybe they're going to wait until we get more of the chaos codexes out, because I imagine we're going to have some Death Guard stuff with sticky objectives. We're going to have, I imagine, all of the chaos, because we had sticky objectives on the World Eaters one, although to be fair, you had to kill people to make that work, so which is very World Eater. Or no, was that Khorne Demons that did that?
It's Khorne Demons, yeah, because Jackals just have it.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if Jackals get reworded with the new sticky wording or not.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Well, we'll see, because Astra Militarum didn't, Eldari did.
I'm more interested, actually, to see what they do with the kill team Jackals. If that is a separate unit, if that's an upgrade to the existing Jackal unit. It would be weird to have Khorne have two separate cultist units and then, like, Emperor's Children not get any. So, I don't know.
I could see it that way, because when the Space Wolves got theirs, that just became a Hounds of Mordecai unit in the Space Wolves Codex or Index.
Yeah, and I guess Death Guard do have two units of cultists, because they have Poxwalkers and cultists. So
we do have some tournament reports already using the new rules. So according to Goonhammer's most recent competitive innovations in 10th, that six double plus grand tournament. So that 6++ Grand Tournament 2025, the Grimdark 24, and the Grand Onslaught 9 all allowed the new rules. RoeTaKa won the 6++ Grand Tournament.
Yeah.
And took fourth. So they won it and took fourth. The Grimdark 24 had RoeTaKa taking third. Adeptus Custodes Shield Host took first. And then the Grand Onslaught 9... Imperial Knights actually took first. Ultramarines took second with the Stormlance Task Force. Grey Knights took third. Strangely enough, no Orks in that top 12 at that one, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players have devoted to Vinead. So Inari are going to be a problem, apparently. But Orks RoeTaKa detachment already taking podium spots after the first week. So yeah, that one is going to be stupid strong.
Yeah,
so
I'm preparing myself for like not getting to play like this version of it and seeing it toned down.
Yeah, because if this, Oh, that's going to be interesting, because if this came out like mid-March and they're doing this quarterly, are we going to see a mid-May balance update 2 weeks before Midwest Conquest? Don't like that.
No, because quarterly would be June.
Yeah, okay, December 3rd, 6th, so it may come afterwards. So hey, Richard, if you want to do our group game, you will get at least one game with this, with RoeTaKa as God intended,
as James Workshop wants.
Just as James Workshop wanted.
No, that's going to be the one that gets FAQ'd immediately. They're going to be super on the ball and get this FAQ'd like within a month, just so you can't use it.
Just for you, Richard.
Yeah.
All right, Richard, if they do, I promise you I'll get a game in with you with the untouched, pristine, artisanal RoeTaKa detachment.
Artisanal Taka
doesn't really it doesn't bother me that much, just because I don't play that much, so of course I miss out on stuff.
That is everything we were going to cover in this episode. Also, I guess the other two things to cover is, as we had mentioned in past episodes, and as we just talked about, Midwest Conquest is coming up, Memorial Day weekend.
May 23rd to 25th.
Yeah, so May 23rd, 25th, Independence, Missouri. Spots are still available for the GT, the Narrative, Age of Sigmar. I think Bolt Action is close to being sold out. The Beer Hammer is on a wait list. No, Bolt Action still has 12 spots. It's over halfway full. So Bolt Action is doing okay. We're halfway sold out with the Narrative, which is awesome.
I like that.
And we're about a third full on the GT. I imagine that'll fill up more as we get closer, but that's and still tickets are available for the Night Joust. Those tend to be kind of like last minute tickets anyway, just as people are available. But all those events except Beer Hammer are still open. Beer Hammer, just contact us if you want to be on the wait list. And that's coming up May 23rd through 25th in Independence. We would love to see you there. And again, Kevin and Dennis have special stuff planned for the Narrative. So 10 spots available if you want to get in. In addition, something else for us is the mission pack. I mentioned it last episode, but the mission pack for Urban Conquest is now finished. The kind of first pass. I have everything compiled together in that available, which includes, if you want just a quick intro to the things included in that Urban Conquest upgrade mission pack, it includes a new strategic footings matrix to replace the matrix campaign chart that was in the original Urban Conquest book. This will work similar to the strategic footings in Pariah Nexus Crusade book. Battle zones, just some rules you can apply to any mission to represent particular urban hellscapes. A new set of Urban Conquest stratagems. Yes, more bloat, and these do not replace your core stratagems. These are just available for these missions. And again, the great thing about these is these are all modular. There's nothing saying you have to use all of these. If you don't want to use battle zones, don't use battle zones. If you don't want to use the stratagems, don't use the stratagems. That's fine. I did go ahead and include the surgical deep strike rules from Nachman Gauntlet. Please don't sue GW. If you ask me to, I will remove them. But we just think they're so fun. We wanted to include them in this packet. It's one-page rules, but again, it's in there for now. We'll just say that. And then it is specifically marked as like included without permission. I may have done a bad thing. And then the 6 location missions for the 6 missions in the Urban Conquest deck. If you use all of these, they will coincide with all the various mechanics available in Urban Conquest. So if you want to run a 10th edition version of an Urban Conquest campaign with all the strategic footings and battle zone options and things that can happen as you spend strategic points to use abilities and tie into like the random events that can happen in that particular campaign format, this will work with all of them. So you can run a full Urban Conquest campaign with these. But if you don't have an Urban Conquest set, all these will work independently. I definitely intended these to be used modularly and to layer on top of any mission system. Do you like playing Pariah Nexus campaign missions? Do you like Nachman Gauntlet or Leviathan campaign missions? Do you prefer to play the randomly generated match play missions or the missions from the tournament packet? Do you like the bunker missions from White Dwarf? Do you make up your own missions to play? These will layer on top of all of these. I wanted these to be as widely applicable as possible, but also tied into the Urban Conquest set, so people with an Urban Conquest set can get the full use out of it. And the only way to get this document is to join our Patreon. It is available exclusively through our Patreon Discord over in the Preferred Enemies exclusive section. So if you want to access that you join our Patreon at patreon.com/preferredenemies. Use the website, not an app. Don't use an iPhone to buy it. Don't pay Apple an extra 30% on top of your subscription. You don't need to be doing that. We don't get any of that. Apple takes all of that. So don't do that. Go to patreon.com/preferredenemies. It's basically an online tip jar. We don't lock... I can't say we don't lock any of our content behind a paywall anymore, I suppose. This is an exclusive thing for patrons, but we don't lock any of our shows. All our recordings, videos, etc. are freely available online, but if you want to help support the show, get access to our Discord, and get access to the Urban Conquest mission pack, just join our Patreon. You help support our show and keep us income neutral. You pay for our hosting and our recording service, and we really do appreciate all the support. We enjoy everybody who's come on to the Discord and hanging out and chatting. It's a fun community, and we would love to have more of you there. So if you want to help support us, patreon.com/preferredenemies, or check out our merch store at Patreon, or check out our merch store at preferredenemies.com/merch. Kevin, you just got some merch and can vouch for the quality.
Yeah, I ordered the hat, the polo, and like a couple of the magnets, and yeah, they're all really good quality. They all came pretty quickly. I think it was about a week after ordering that I got them. Shirts fit perfectly fine. The hat looks nice, so yeah, like I'll definitely be wearing the hat to Midwest Conquest. But yeah, I was impressed. It was very good.
Yeah. So and this is not, oh, we got a special cut from our merch vendor. No, Kevin paid for this out of his own money. So and left a rude message to me, I will add.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, 100%. Because I saw there was the ability to send direct messages to the creator. So if you want to order merchandise and send rude messages directly to Rob, there you go.
Send me rude messages and buy our stuff. I'm fine with that. So that's a couple of ways you can help support the show. Also, like and subscribe, follow us on YouTube, like and subscribe on Preferred Enemies. Help us fight through the algorithm and actually get the show in front of more people. And as more people get added, I keep having to shrink the font of the credit roll to fit into the time allotment I've given it. So we are getting more and more patrons to include in the credit roll. So we would love to have your name on that list too. So we'd love to join you, or love to have you join us. But for now, it's time for us to go. So from all of us here at Preferred Enemies, I'm your host, Rob.
Kevin.
Dennis.
And Richard.
Good night, good gaming, and let's see how long the game continues in this frame of balance.